Hi, I'm Jim, the Monday Man. Welcome to our first official Monday Man video. Our objective with this channel is to provide you with tips and information to help you get the most out of Monday.com and, quite simply, make your Mondays better. We'll be covering a wide range of topics from quick tips for beginners, reviewing apps in the Monday marketplace, all the way to more complex subjects like integrations and using tools like Integromat. In this video, I will be showing you how to create an Integromat account, connect it to Monday, and then use that to clear a date column based on a status change. If you would like to support our efforts, please use this link when you create your Integromat account. And of course, like and subscribe. I would also ask that if you have anything in particular that you would like for us to cover in upcoming videos, please put that in the comments. Well, that's it. Welcome, and let's get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is pause the video, click on the link to Integromat that we have there in the video, and I'm going to click on Get Started. It's going to ask me for a name. I'll put in my name, email address that I created for this demo, and we need to put in a password. Sign up. Now we need to flip over to our email account and verify our email address. Now we're all ready. We can sign in with our new account. All right, so you can fill out the information about your company, but I'm going to cheat and just skip that part and hit continue.
Here we are in our new Integromat account, and what we want to do is create the connection to Monday. So we're going to start a scenario. Connections are created when you use a connection for the first time. So we're going to create a scenario. We'll call this clear date. So that's what we're going to do. Type in Monday for the app. Select Monday. And we're going to update the column value of a specific item. So here's where we add our connection. So we click Add. We'll accept the default connection name. And we're going to put in the API key. To get the API key, we need to switch over to our Monday account, which we'll do right here. You're going to click on your picture in the lower left and then select Developers. You have to be a member or an admin to be able to access this portion. You're going to go up to Developer, My Access Tokens, and here's your access token. So you need to click Show. And for those of you who are freaking out because I just showed my access token, don't worry, it'll be changed before I post this video. And then let's go back to Integromat. So now we're just going to paste this with Control V and then hit Continue. All right, so now we have our connection to Monday set up. And we're going to click here just to pick a board and an item. I'm just going to pick anything. It doesn't really matter here yet. So I'm going to click OK. So now I've created that Monday module. And the thing that we actually want to do is we want to call scenario based on this change in the status. So let's come back over here. We're going to go to a board. We'll go to this to do. Now we're going to, when this goes to sent to customer, the due date is going to get cleared. Now this probably doesn't make a lot of sense in this particular scenario, but go with it. All right, so we're going to go to integrate, type in webhooks, and we're going to click on the webhook. So when a status changes to something, send a webhook. We're going to add this to our board, and this is where we're going to put in the URL of the webhook that we're going to create. So we're going to go back to Integromat, right click, add a module, and we're going to look for webhooks. If you type webhooks with an S, it'll bring up a short list, and we want this one right here. We're going to choose custom webhook. Now we're going to add, and this webhook name probably want it to be somewhat relevant. So we're going to say clear date, and the IP restrictions we don't need. We're going to hit save. Now it's listening for the first call to that webhook, and it's going to use that to set the data structure for the webhook. We're going to copy the address to the clipboard. So now we can finish the integration. So we pick the status column and we pick the value that we want. Sent to customer. Add to board. Now the Integromat is still listening to get that first data structure. So we want to activate our integration. So we're going to do that by changing this one to sent to customer. Now, if we go back here, we see that it's gotten the first call and it's successfully determined the data structure. So click OK. Now we want to run it to get some data. So we're just going to run this module. I right click on that and then run this module only. I'm going to come back over here and activate it one more time. So now that this is run and we've gotten the data, we see this input here, we can use that to update our Monday module. I'm going to click here to go into the settings of the Monday module. We're going to use the board ID that's coming from here, but before we do that and change this to map, I'm going to go to the test to do and use it to set up our output. So we'll go down here to test to do. The item ID we're going to put here is also going to be mapped, but we want to update our column values first. So we're going to add an item, we're going to select the date, and then the output value we want here, we could put a formula, we could do a number of different things, but what we want to do today is just add a null. So we're going to come here into the general functions of Integromat and select null and click add. So if we wanted to update additional fields, we could also, columns, we could do that as well by clicking here and adding whatever's there. So if you don't put the actual board here first, you won't be able to select these values, and you will actually have to know what the column ID names are, and that's a little bit more complicated. We'll cover that another time. So now let's come in here. We're going to change this to map. We're going to use the board ID that's coming in and clear out our first data there. The item ID we want to update is the pulse ID from our webhook call, and that's it. So click OK. This should now be ready to go. So we're going to run it to test it. Now we'll come back over to our board and we'll change this to sent customer. Once we activate this, the due date should be cleared. So we're going to change this to sent customer, and there it's cleared. All right, I'm going to go back here to the Integromat side, and you can see that this ran. This tells you how many activations occurred for that module. We can click here and look at the actual data that was output in that module. And there will be an input and an output on this one. So we can see here, this is the input value that we did, and then the output is what came back after this module was executed. So there we go. The last thing I want to mention is just some kind of best practices. This is a very simple scenario, obviously, but it is helpful as you get more complicated scenarios to kind of document as you go along. There's a couple of ways to do that. One is to name your modules so that you can tell a little bit better what it's doing. So we want to rename this and say clear date. The second thing that we would want to do is we can add notes that describe the basic functionality of the modules and how it's working. So we can click here. If there were notes, there'll be an indicator here, and we can see that. And we can also right click here and add a note. Now this is a little bit redundant, but we will just clear not the date, clear date. You can also say here, if we want to add a note on this module, we can say called by test to do. The next thing I want to cover is that when we made this change using my access token, it makes it look as though I was the one who made the change to the date. So what many companies do is they create a user ID that is specifically for executing Integromat scenario, so that when you look at the activity logs, you can tell that that occurred via an Integromat scenario. Currently, this is not running. So we want this to run on an ongoing basis. It will just basically sit there. It doesn't actually do anything, but it listens for a webhook call. Okay, so we're going to turn this on. And for a webhook, you just want this to run immediately. So we activate that. So now this is running. And just to show that, we can come back over here. Let's do one that doesn't have it. Let's say that's stuck. And now it's sent to the customer. And this date should clear. There we go. So we can see now that it's running. So the last thing we need to do is save our changes, and we can go back to our dashboard. We will see that we've executed 7 operations. This particular scenario uses 2 operations each time it's called. In your free account, you are allowed 1,000 operations per month, and so we would be able to call this 500 times.
That's it for today, everybody. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. To be notified of future videos, subscribe. And to support our channel, if you do create an Integromat account, please use this link. It won't cost you anything extra. Lastly, if there's anything you would like for us to do in future videos, put that in the comments. I'm Jim, the Money Man. Till next time.